with the shooter 500 yards away, they would hear the rounds snapping by their heads or snapping through the air, hitting the ground before they heard the report of the rifles. But in this case, the shooter firing so many rounds, it'd be relatively easy to at least know the general direction of where the fire was coming from.
We heard a couple of pops that were super isolated and sounded like firecrackers. And we found out later over the police scanner and from some firefighters that we were working with later on in the night that there were some firecrackers that started it all.
Yeah, Robert Hayes with LA Fire, and you were here with your wife at the concert.
Yeah, my wife and a couple friends for a birthday event. And then all of a sudden we heard some pops when Jason Aldean came on to perform. And honestly, at the start, we all thought that it was probably like an electronic thing, a malfunction or stuff. Feedback or whatnot, and everybody was kind of, I'm like, hey, it's okay, everybody's all right. And then all of a sudden people started dropping by the stage area and up front by us.
And it sounded like fireworks, and then all of a sudden everybody started scattering and gunfire, and people were running everywhere, and
it was chaos.
Complete chaos.
I worked in the trauma tent for a little while. It was crazy. It was chaos.
Well, as a professional firefighter with the Kern County Fire Department, it's part of our training to actually be a portion of that. We do have active shooter training within our professional department. We did hear the firecrackers, and it was kind of going to be more of a safety precaution for all of us. Heard the first set of firecrackers, and then after the first set, the second set started going off maybe 10-ish, 15 seconds later, and then...
Knowing the sound, being around it, training, you got instincts. I'm also a firefighter, so...
It sounded like a few firecrackers going off. And then there's that third round of firecrackers, or fireworks that sounded like...
Just right as we decided to leave, that's where we thought we heard fireworks. Could see some smoke, what we thought was smoke initially on the ground, and later I thought it was probably dust coming up from the bullets that were hitting.
It honestly sounded like fireworks were going off. Nobody really knew exactly what it was at first because it was such a distant sound. It was just mayhem, mass chaos and mayhem.
So I'm in the military, kind of used to those kind of rounds going off and the sound. Once we figured it out, it's called I'm up, you see me down. So they shoot at you, you get down. So we got down and.
Jason Aldean was performing. Tell me what you heard and how it all started.
It just started popping. It sounded like firecrackers.
And
everybody ran.
At one point, as soon as
you just started seeing bloody people running towards you.
I think people need to start moving until Aldean got off the stage. As soon as he started running is when everyone else started booking it.
So Jason ran off the stage, and then people started running themselves.
Yeah. And then we calmed them down. We were just getting people out. We were just getting people out.
Yeah, we just did.
That's all we're doing.
Were you carrying people?
Yeah.
Yeah.
We both were.
So we were at the venue, and shots started ringing out, and we were thinking they were fireworks, and then I recognized the automatic, the repetition of automatic fire. People started running from the main stage out of the venue. I'm a prior military individual, and I was involved in the first strike in OEF and OIF.
We were staging the injured and the deceased, and we left about 12:20 after they put the sheets over the last two bodies that we had in this area. 20 years in the Air Force, and then almost 11 years with Department of Defense as a contractor in law enforcement.
And how long did you stay?
You're in the National Guard, so you're familiar with gunfire. A lot of people said we weren't sure if they were fireworks. Did you know immediately that you were listening to the sound of gunfire?
Not the initial pops. It truly sounded like fireworks or firecrackers or some pyrotechnics off the stage.
And we heard what sounded like firecrackers, like somebody threw firecrackers that we all hear back in Michigan on the 4th of July, and realized my buddy from his military training said, we got 4 to 8 seconds to move. We got to get out of here.
And like everybody, we heard those first few pops, and we're thinking, that's very odd. You kind of look around. Is that fireworks? Is there one of the helicopters that was going around? But yeah, it's been a, experience that, it's just, you just don't think it really happened.
When he was going to sing, and he saw we heard the pop, 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 and everybody thought it was fireworks. And he did too, I'm sure. And the bullets were going just fast, real fast, and it felt like they were fanning around.
And so I heard pop firecrackers, and it sounded like, well, it's street level. And I thought, oh, what a jerk. Who's doing that right now? Trying to scare people. So my friend JR from Sirius XM and we took off. We just kept herding people, run, run, run.
When all of a sudden we started hearing what I thought were firecrackers. And it went on for a while, and we started looking at each other like, that's strange. Where's the fireworks? I don't see anything. Punched down to the people in front of me. I said, don't worry, guys. It's okay. It's just fireworks.
Calls me screaming, petrified at 10:08. She says, Dad, the police are making me get down, and I hear firecrackers. She goes, it sounds like firecrackers. I'm hearing the rapid fire of an automatic weapon. I'm like, Annalise, that is not firecrackers. Can you see anything where this is? She goes, no, I'm literally in a dog pile of people.
We were a little slow to kind of catch on to that because it was going on for so long, so we thought it would have been fireworks, firecrackers, or just construction noise outside.
Off-duty officer Tom McGrath, his wife, and another off-duty officer tried to help.
And during that time we were trying to render aid. We came across the second round of gunfire, and at that point we just kind of laid on top of each other. I was trying to shield my wife. I think the training helped me out as far as my mentality of not really freaking out. I feel like I was trying to be more of a voice of reason.
We heard what sounded like fireworks going off, but it kept going and going and going. We refused to really believe it was gunfire. In her words, she got hit by a water balloon. That's how she described the experience.
10 minutes in, and we heard what we thought were fireworks, and it looked like smoke from Mandalay Bay, and then he kept performing, and then we heard it again, and they cut the music, and everyone said drop, and everyone dropped, and then everyone just got up and they said run, and everyone started stampeding and charging and knocking over grills, jumping over fences.
And apparently it just occurred right behind our booth, basically, so it was very loud. We thought it was fireworks or something, which we thought was weird because we didn't see anything in the sky. It went on for quite a while. And then the screaming started and the running, and
it was mass chaos. You couldn't tell the difference between people that knew what was going on and people that were adding more confusion. We thought it was fireworks, and then it just didn't stop. And I'm like, Debbie, that's not fireworks. And then people started running, and we asked what was going on, and they said it was a shooter, and then we realized it sounded like machine guns. It sounded like more than one machine gun, and it just didn't stop, like 30 minutes.
Kind of sounded like some fireworks going off, and then finally we had to move him because he had 3 chest wounds. But I just got a message my buddy is going to be okay, so I mean,
the guy who got hit 3 times is going to be okay?
Yeah.
All of a sudden we just heard like 3 or 4 little pop, pop, pop. And everybody kind of looked around and said, oh, it's just firecrackers. And then we heard pop, 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 and it just kept going and going. And my husband said, that's not firecrackers. That sounds like a semi-automatic rifle.
I heard what sounded like almost a machine gun, maybe. I don't know what it was, but maybe someone threw firecrackers in there. But that casino was under mass chaos. There's a SWAT team with guns drawn on us, telling us to put our hands up because there was an active shooter in this casino we're at.
It was very horrifying. At first, it sounded like fireworks, and then my buddy that was standing right next to me said, I'm hit. My buddy got shot 3 times in the chest. He said he was going to be good. It's surreal.
He was picking up trash inside a bathroom, and he heard a bunch of screaming firecrackers. It sounded like firecrackers to him. He said that there was bodies laying on the floor. There were people trying to help still.
All of a sudden, here in the background, something that sounded like fireworks going off. It was going pop, 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 pop.
In moments before the shooting, it was surreal, Eric. I actually saw 2 Las Vegas police officers. So those first cracks sounded, like it was a fireworks or firecrackers. But I looked up and I didn't see anything.
It was a few pops. It sounded like firecrackers, and I know a lot of people I spoke with that also were out there with me said that. I mean, everyone's pretty much saying the same thing, and you could tell, we all looked around and we were like, okay, what is that? We didn't really exactly know if it was gunshots, but we knew that we needed to
get out of there as quick as we could. And I think even people started screaming at that point, gunshots. I don't know if people were starting to get hit, but around us, we didn't see anything. We were luckily able to get out probably before a lot of people did, and so we did not witness a lot of that. We just took off and never looked back, literally.
Initially, you thought it was fireworks, but then right after the fireworks, they turned the lights on, and about 5 feet from me, you could see a guy with a bullet wound right in his neck, emotionless, and from there on in, it was just, people just started dropping like flies. Yeah, I lost my shoe when someone fell down to get cover over me. I have someone's blood right here and also on my chest.
I thought it was fireworks. I looked up. I didn't see anything in the sky, so I got worried. I mean, I was going through a lot. I was like, should I? Why should they die? Because they're a lot younger than me. You know what I mean? Like, I've lived a decent life. I'm middle-aged.
It sounded like firecrackers, and it started at first, and people just kind of looked around. They didn't really know what was happening.
We thought it was fireworks. We thought it was a helicopter. First time, it went the second time. We thought it was a sound problem when the lights went off. And then we saw people running the third time, and people told us, get down. And we got down, and the bullets were going over our head, and someone said, just run. And we jumped off the side of the platform.
Thought it was fireworks. I looked up in the sky, didn't see anything. I was worried. They were all crying on the ground. I was trying to be calm.
Heard a couple pops and we're thinking it was just some guy throwing firecrackers off in the bathrooms, the porta potties that were over there. And then suddenly Jason Aldean cut out, everything went black, and everybody just started running.
Now, Topol works for WCCO's sister station, Buzzin' 102.9.
We hear, what we thought was just, fireworks. Well, within seconds or minutes, we realized that something really was happening. People were running, and that noise was, it didn't sound like a gun. There's no gun I'd ever heard that went pop, 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 pop.
And the lady sitting next to me who was in a scooter said, no, that was fireworks. It's for the show. And it's literally, as soon as she said that, the spraying started.
He called his son, a Marine, to ask what he should do next.
Literally step-by-step instruction to get in my car, start the vehicle, and pull away. Literally, when we pulled into the Stratosphere, I pulled into the handicapped parking spot, and my tire went completely gone.
At first, I thought it was fireworks because the burst was so fast. And I turned to my wife and said, somebody just lit off some fireworks. Yeah, they didn't take the bullet out because they said it's lodged in. He didn't want to tear my shoulder up to get it out.
Oh, look, somebody's got some firecrackers going, and he pointed towards Mandalay Bay, and you could see like little sparks coming from the area. So we just laughed and carried on listening to Jason. And then suddenly we heard the second round of pop, 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 and somebody shouted out, it's a shooter, it's a gunman, get down, get down.
We just hear like this noise, it sounds like fireworks.
A couple random pops going off.
And everybody just kind of looked around, but they just thought it was fireworks, and the performer kept going. And then it went off again. Like
10 seconds later, it went off again.
We make it out and we run towards the Tropicana Hotel.
Which is right next door.
We get inside, and then we're trying to figure out a way to get out, where to go. And then we hear somebody yell, the shooter's in here, and then everybody starts running out of there.
It was 6 pops, and it was just bam, 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 bam. And we all thought it was part of the show, maybe, because it sounded like firecrackers almost. Mm-hmm. And then all of a sudden it was another round, and we were like, okay, we need to get out of here. So we ran as fast as we could.
We're like, it's just fireworks. So everybody goes back to dancing and singing and going along with the song, and then all of a sudden you hear this as fast as it can come. 30, 40 rounds go down somewhere, and we don't know what it is. Everybody's just looking around like, what was that?
All of a sudden, we heard what we thought was firecrackers. And everybody started getting down on the ground. We saw one girl that was flat on her back. We don't know if she was shot or trampled. It was unbelievable.
It's unfortunate that it takes times of tragedy like this to watch people come together. Disgusting, beautiful, and tragic all at the same time.
Well, thank you.
Thanks.